Hello there, my name's Ron Reed, and I cook out here at the Chuck Wagon out in front of the Buffalo Bill Historical Center. Today I'm going to be making some biscuits up for you. We're going to bake them in the Dutch oven just like in the old days, and you can make your own biscuits when you get done watching me. Anyway, let's get started. I have measured out about 4 cups of flour in here, and I have added to that 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and I've mixed it good together with a dough cutter here. Shortening goes in at the rate of a 4 to 1. So I'm going to put about a cup of shortening to 4 cups of flour. And it's better to have a little more shortening than not enough shortening, because that's what makes your biscuits tender. And then I'll cut it in. This is a pastry cutter. I'm using one that's made out of wire because I'm using an old enamelware bowl. But you can use one of the ones that are just solid, made with little blades on them, or you can use 2 forks. A lot of the old-time Chuck Wagon cooks would even use their fingers, and they just kind of mash the shortening. And once we get this going, we just kind of keep mixing it until all of the shortening is incorporated into the dough. Now, the best biscuits of all are made with pure lard. But nowadays we don't use pure lard very much anymore. But it wants to look just about like that. And once you get that accomplished, you'll need to add some milk to it. Milk or water will work. Milk makes a better biscuit. But if water's all you have, then water will work too. And this is kind of a trial and error thing. You have to kind of figure out, but it's about a cup or so, cup and a half of milk to the 4 cups. And I always like using a wooden spoon to mix my dough with, just because they're nice for mixing dough, and they're easier on this enamelware. Just a little bit more. All right. Okay, the biscuit dough is ready to knead, and I will wash my hands a little bit just before I do that. I believe it was Charlie Russell that said that Cowboys always appreciated a cook who washed his hands someplace other than in the biscuit dough. And you want to use just enough flour to where that biscuit dough won't stick to your fingers. As you can see, on the dough that I haven't gotten the flour on, see, it's pretty sticky. Because see, you want that dough in a homogeneous mass. If you knead your dough too much, it'll make your biscuits tough. That's how you want your biscuit dough to look. Kind of leave that in a lump in your pan for right now. Cover it up. And now we got to make some coals to bake these with. As you can see, I've chipped up a little bit of wood here. I do resort to a small bit of treachery because I don't have little Mary to help me. The wood I have here only makes coals that's good for about 10 minutes. I need about 30 minutes of heat to bake biscuits. So just as a matter of convenience, so I don't have to change the coals several times, I do use charcoal briquettes. And you can control your heat pretty good with charcoal briquettes, but they're just not period correct for before 1920 or so. Anyway, I'll put my small bits of wood that I've chipped up on some coals that I've got going here already. I'm sure that if they'd have had them, the Chuck Wagon cooks would have used charcoal briquettes, but they didn't. A little bit of interesting information is that Henry Ford was the one who invented the charcoal briquette. I'm going to need about 30 or so briquettes to cook this 12-inch Dutch oven. We might give the fire a little bit of help here with a little wave of our hat. There was one old camp cook that was quoted as saying he wore out 2 brand new hats one spring trying to keep the fire going because the wood was so wet. You want to always grease your Dutch oven well with some shortening, and this is what makes it so that the biscuits won't stick when you're baking them. You want to coat the sides as well. Get a good even coating on your Dutch oven, and that'll make your biscuits bake better. Some guys will roll these biscuits dough out and cut the biscuits. Some guys just roll balls and put them in there. Myself, I like to pinch a piece of dough off and just kind of form it into biscuit shape. You want to make them about a ½ an inch thick and biscuit size. That will swell and get thicker as it cooks. But you try to make all your biscuits about the same size, because that means they'll cook evenly. Keep placing them in there and working them together until they're just kind of have filled the Dutch oven to the right amount. As you can see, 4 cups of flour pretty much does a 12-inch Dutch oven of biscuits, pretty close to the right amount. As you can see, I don't have very much biscuit dough left. I've got room for one more small one I can kind of wiggle in there, and we got about a spoonful left. So that, had I packed them in a little tighter, I might have been able to get it. But actually, you don't want to pack them in real tight or make them thicker than they need to be. So anyway, there's your biscuits, and the lid goes on, and it's off to the fire. All right, here we are back at the fire. We got our coals just about ready. You can tell they're getting ready when they're starting to get white tips on them and stuff. And you always need to remember that about 1/4 to 1/3 of your heat goes on the bottom, and the balance goes on the top of the Dutch oven, because too much heat on the bottom of that Dutch oven will burn the bottom of your biscuits. Every time you peek and open that lid, you're going to add 5 minutes to your cooking time. So the best thing to do is just time your biscuits. We're going to wait for ½ an hour or so before we peek at those biscuits. It's very important when you're baking your biscuits to give your Dutch oven a rotation about every 10 minutes or so. Oftener doesn't hurt. All right, now time to peek at the biscuits again. See if they're ready, and looks like they're ready to eat. Anyway, that's a pan of Dutch oven biscuits ready to eat. And as you can see, they're kind of crispy on the outside, but still tender in the middle. Hello, would you like to try? Careful with the fire. Anybody? I'll give seconds, yeah, certainly. You're very welcome. Another bite?